I'm glad Eliza came back.
Yay!
I don't know what happened.
Don't worry, this stuff happens all the time.
Instagram, why you gotta hate so hard?
It was funny, right as I went to go, like, before we started, I pressed Instagram and it just decided to, like, install an update. And I'm like, of course.
Okay, see, that explains a lot then, because I was having connection problems too earlier. So if there's another bump in this, we'll just restart
Okay,
it.
no worries.
We'll just restart it. But we were just getting to the good stuff. So I'm glad that, we got some good context and now we're getting into the juicy stuff. So I feel like,
Totally.
if it was going to cut off, it was a good point for it to do it.
Totally. Next
Um,
chapter.
right. So, okay, we've learned a lot about Eliza, which I will write in the caption of this IGTV so people can read it.
Okay.
But we were just saying that, the sick, because I know what that stands for now, the sick San Diego Virtual Music Festival. So it had 12 bands and it was all local San Diego artists. So what inspired you to start planning this?
Yeah, I had the idea, I think, like maybe a couple months before. Um, but I was also inspired by this artist that I follow in LA, and her name is Lucy Clearwater.
Mm.
We were gonna play a show with her before quarantine happened. We were like scheduled. It was the first week of quarantine, and Jack and I were gonna go up to LA and play a showcase with her. So, that didn't happen. So we didn't actually end up meeting her, but she did a similar thing with artists in LA.
Mm.
And I think I was just like working that day. It was on a Monday. And I just kept tuning in throughout the day. And I was like, wow, this is a brilliant idea. Like, the festival went pretty much all day as well for her. And I was like, what a cool idea. She's supporting all LA based artists. And
Hmm.
so she definitely like spurred it for me. And then I thought, like, wow, we should totally host that on our Instagram for all San Diego artists.
Yeah.
And I think I always love, like, I think part of our mission as a band and just like my personal mission is I love bringing community together.
Mm.
And I love just like people having a good time together and just enjoying the arts. Like, that's something I just really, really value. And I think it's so hard because San Diego is so big, and it's always been a challenge to like really cultivate this unified music community.
Mm.
So I just thought, like, wow, this is literally the easiest way that I could get artists from downtown San Diego, from like inland San Diego
Hmm.
and northern San Diego, and or like artists that are based out of San Diego and Nashville, or San Diego and LA, and we can like
Hmm.
bring them all together in one place so that people can see the talent that is in San Diego. Like, I think people forget,
Hmm.
they're like, there isn't really a scene here. There is a scene, but it's hard to come by because it's never like in one place.
Yes, I think that's a great point because I mean San Diego's big, of course, and but it's very spread out too. So it is. I've never really thought of it in that it is hard sometimes to feel like there is a scene when everything is kind of distant on a normal day, and then you add obviously COVID on top of it, and then also LA. I feel like sometimes San Diego gets in the shadow of the LA music scene as well. If you're
Totally.
talking about like Southern California, people think LA first. So I just loved that you were kind of keeping San Diego in music in that conversation, right? Like it was just a
Yeah.
reminder of like, yeah, this is all because of COVID and we can't be together. But it's also a really good reminder that San Diego has so much talent and so many cool artists.
Totally. It's like so diverse. I think I'm always discovering, like, even just browsing on Instagram, and I'll like go to an artist friend that I know and I'll like see who they're following, or like they'll
Hmm.
post something. I'm like, oh, that person is amazing and they're also based out of San Diego. Like, I'm still discovering all these people that are based out of here.
Oh, absolutely. It's like never ending, which is amazing, right?
Yeah.
We can
It's
never get bored.
totally. It's so
Yeah,
cool.
that's awesome. So the mission of the festival, was it always to support San Diego, or did that kind of change as you were thinking about it? Or yeah, what was that mission like?
Sure, yeah. So initially the mission was I was seeing like all these live streams happening, and it was mostly for like donations to organizations, which I originally, before like Black Lives Matter movement started, and I just felt like, wow, like these artists are in these difficult times. Like we have friends that rely solely on music. And I just thought like, wow, these artists are playing these shows, and it takes a lot of time to like set it up and a lot of energy to just be like, okay, I'm gonna play this show by myself for my phone, and like it's not as fulfilling, and it's
Yeah.
not an even exchange of energy. It's like, if anything, it's pretty draining. So I just
Hmm.
thought like, wow, these artists are doing this, and they're probably not making anything,
Yeah.
but they're doing it for like under another platform that's raising money or whatever it is. So originally the mission was, I said to each artist, like, I want this to be about you. Please don't feel weird. Like, let's have you make some money. But then, of course, with everything unfolding, it was really amazing and so gracious of the artists to like, the whole mission changed, and we started
Hmm.
saying like, okay, anything that you Venmo to these artists, we asked them like, are you willing to donate this to the San Diego Bail Fund
Hmm.
or Black Lives Matter? So whichever it was, like the artists were, we said like no pressure, but
Yeah.
and also some artists just said, please, this is like something I really want to donate to. If you Venmo me anything, I'll be sending all the funds to an organization supporting this movement. So it
Hmm.
was cool to see the shift. My intention was really to support the artists, and then it completely shifted once everything unfolded.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point about live streaming for artists because I know when concerts looked like they weren't going to be happening for a long time, a lot of artists turned to live streaming to stay in connection with fans. But I think another thing that got lost is that a live stream is not the same as a concert, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I like how you put it as there's no exchange of energy, and you are just kind of you're playing to your phone, which is lovely. I mean, we're talking to our phone and people right now, but it is very different than a concert. And had you kind of found that as well when like swimming in circles would play on live streams or yourself? Like, were you feeling that as well?
Yeah. Low key, like Jack and I totally dread now if someone asks us to do a live stream, because we were doing them once a week at the beginning of quarantine. We're like, we're just gonna
Hmm.
do it. We reached out to all these local companies, and we were saying like, hey, can we hop on your platform? Like, you don't have to pay us. We just want to support your business during these hard times and like get some of our traffic on your page. And I had reached out to like 10 different companies at the beginning, and then we ended up canceling on a few towards the end because we're like, we just need a break from doing this week to week,
Yeah.
because you set up all your sound gear. We just started playing in our bathroom because the acoustics are good. But at
Yeah.
first, we were setting up all of our mics, our PA system, and then like we just clap for each other when the songs are done, just to like feel some sort of closure.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean they're fun. It's just kind of a pain, and not as fun. You don't get the same rush of like playing for a crowd and then like being able to talk to your friends and like fans after.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it is very different than a concert to me. Like they're not interchangeable. They're two different things.
Totally.
Yeah,
You can
I
like
think
watch a live stream as you do work and cook, and like it's nice
yes.
background, but you're not gonna just like, at least I don't just like sit and watch a live stream in my bed.
Yeah, it's more passive, whereas like a concert, you're way more engaged in it and active in it. Like you're
Yeah,
at a concert.
like dancing and
Yeah, yeah, it's a whole experience instead of just that passive kind of action to it. Yeah,
totally.
I think that's a great point just for any other artists on here right now. So here's a big question. How did you pick your artists to be in the lineup? Because you and the rest of Swimming in Circles, you know, you're so embedded in San Diego, but yet you can't have like a 3-day festival because just that would be a lot of work for you guys. So how did you pick those 12 or so artists?
Yeah, so I reached out probably to about 30 artists initially. Like I had just written a paragraph and I just either texted it to them, depending how close I am to them, or I just messaged them through Instagram. And basically, we just reached out to people that we had played with in the past or that we knew like are so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but we had to kind of cut it off somewhere, so we didn't ask everyone that we worked with before in the past, or like some of
Mm-hmm.
our friends in the community. We weren't able to ask everyone just because it was a long day already.
Yeah.
But our plan was, we want to do another one in the future and include everyone that we can, because that's the whole
Mm-hmm.
purpose of it, is just to like create the community, and I didn't want anyone to feel excluded. um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it was just kind of like, okay, we reached out and whoever got back to us first filled the slots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And did it matter what kind of music they played too? Like, was it kind of, were you looking for synergies in the sound as well?
No.
No? Okay.
Yeah, I reached out to like the Routine and they play like funky hip hop, but they're like full band.
Cool.
So, and I had reached out to like some serious rock and roll bands and like some electronic, like just literal all pad music, and
Mm-hmm.
all synths. So we kind of just like, we're like, whatever, we'll just reach out to everyone we know and who we think would be willing to be a part of it. And then, yeah, then again, it just kind of like ended up, we had a lot of like similar sounding artists because they got back to us first,
Yeah.
ironically.
It just happened that way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really cool. So what advice would you give to someone else who's like you were inspired by Lucy Clearwater? Like, what if they're, you know, they saw the festival or they're listening to you now and they're inspired to do something similar for their community? Um, you know, what advice would you have just to start for somebody?
Sure. I would say it helped me to just kind of like write out all my thoughts on a notebook. But I'm totally like
Hmm.
old school like that. I just need to like see the plan in front of me first. So I think like 2 weeks before, I just wrote it all down on a notebook and I like wrote down what I was going to say to the artist that I reached out to,
Hmm.
and then kind of like the how long I wanted the time slots to be. So I just like structured it first in a notebook or like on your phone notes or whatever, and
Hmm.
um, then I think I planned it in 24 hours because I said in the passage to the artist that I wrote, like, hey, get back to me within 24 hours. So that way I didn't have to like wait too long to plan it. And it was just,
Right.
because it's also like I'm working as well. And I had to just like plan it in 2 days and be like, okay, it's going to happen in 2 weeks. It's all planned. We're good to go.
Yep.
But I would just say, like, advice is get your structure and then just go for it. Reach out, maybe put a time limit on when people can get back to you, because otherwise the process will drag out for you and it makes it a lot
Hmm.
harder.
Oh, 100 on anything. You should give people deadlines.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I've found that in my work too. Otherwise, yeah, you're right. It can just go on forever.
Totally.
Yeah. Wow. So I know we kind of talked about this, but I just like talking about it. So I wanted to ask again, like, you know, what do you think is special about the San Diego community of music? Like, since you're so in it, but I feel like you also have a great way of kind of being a fan as well. Like, you're an artist, but you're also a fan. So, like, what do you think makes it special versus any other music community?
Yeah, I'd say I just love how intimate and supportive it is.
Hmm.
Um, Jack and I have like started integrating ourselves, well, before COVID, we started integrating ourselves a lot into the LA scene. Like we were going up there once a week, and just it was such a stark difference
Oh
of
yeah.
community. You know, and you hear those stereotypes about LA, but I had never really experienced it. And it just made me really appreciate the supportive community that we have in San Diego, because I feel like all of our musical friends are like constantly getting together and just like bonding, and we always include each other in shows. Like there really isn't that passive competition,
Yeah.
or judgment. Like when we played shows in LA, it was like people sometimes wouldn't even clap and they just stare at you, and it's like, you know, we were just like, whoa, this is like a house show in LA. This is so different than our house shows in San Diego. Like
Yeah.
you know, everyone in the community here is just like genuinely supportive, and
Hmm.
they're not trying to like, oh, I want that gig, so I have to like not talk to you and never include you in things. Like it's very inclusive and genuine, which is so cool and amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I think like having the industry be such a presence in LA too does like amp that aggression sometimes and
True.
competitive spirit. Whereas here it's just a little bit more laid back culturally in general.
Totally. That's so true. But it's like you can still get shit done in San
Hmm.
Diego. Like
Hmm.
you know, we're still so close to LA. Like all of the connections and possibilities are there. So I think too that's when people are like, oh, like you got to move to LA, and we're like, no way. Like quality of life here is so much better, and
Yep.
we can still go there. Sometimes it was crazy, but Jack and I, like sometimes we would go 2 times a week to LA, like just in the
Wow.
evening for an event or whatever, like networking event. But it's doable, you know.
Yeah, just pick your right times with traffic and
Yeah.
you'll be okay. Pick the wrong time, not so okay. But that's, you know.
Totally. We have that window down so well. Like we know
Oh,
exactly when to leave, and then it takes us an hour 20 to get there.
that's beautiful. That makes my whole day if I can just like zoom down from LA. And so
Totally.
Jack is your partner in the band, right? Just for
Yes.
people who don't know him.
Yes. Jack is co-manager with me, and partner in the band. Like we write all the songs together, and
Mhm.
we're kind of like the head men of the band.
The head persons of
The
the
head
band.
persons.
Yes, yes. Jack is lovely. So just wanted to explain who he was in case people didn't know. So how did you decide on Instagram? Which is funny now that Instagram like shut us down a second ago. But why did you decide on Instagram to host the festival versus other platforms like Twitch or Facebook or YouTube or something like that?
Um, Well, I think we just chose it because we have way more traction on Instagram. Like we
Hmm.
have a bigger following, and that's kind of like where we're the most interactive, I'd say, with venues, with labels, with artists. Like that's where the people are for us. Even
Hmm.
though it seems to be kind of changing, we're like, whoa, what the heck? We have like no engagement anymore.
I
um,
know.
yeah, so whatever that is, thank you, Instagram. But yeah, so I think that was like initially our thought. Okay, yeah, we have a nice audience on here, so why not do it on Instagram?
Yeah. And did you have, I'm just curious now that you finished it and you went through it, did you have any technical issues with Instagram at all? Or like okay, that face tells me all I need to know.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
So what happened with that?
Well, we had one artist not be able to connect, or like it was just completely lagging, and so we tried a few times, and I kept on saying, "I'm so sorry, like you're just no one can hear you," you know, and I tried to
Hmm.
let it just ride out, but it got to the point where she knew as well, and we just stopped, and then that was kind of like our half-hour break that we didn't fit in for ourselves.
Oh,
um
okay. Kind
yeah,
of
so
worked
we just,
out.
yeah, it was just like a tech, that was the only technical difficulty I would say. And then kind of the other annoying thing with Instagram is that after an hour, it kicks you off of the live. So then you have to like
Hmm.
restart another live.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And would you find that viewers would carry over, or would you lose a couple with each time that you had to restart?
Yeah, we definitely lost like our first few, I think our first two lives, we had like over 30 people kind
Hmm.
of like consistently, or like 30 people just watching in and out. And then as time went on, we had like five people sometimes. So that was kind of annoying. It's like, I mean, of course, time of day counted as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, definitely each time we notice, like, okay, it's probably annoying people because it keeps coming up like, swimming in circles is going live, swimming in circles is going live.
Hey, it lets you know at least that you're going
Yeah,
live again.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I found like watching the DJ sets that usually they do lose a big chunk of listeners, but then like as they keep going, like maybe 30 minutes later, a new wave comes in. So I think you're right where it's like the timing of the day matters a lot too. Like there's just new
Totally.
waves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting because they have like 200,000 people or something crazy, and then they have to end it because of the time limit, and then I'll see that the numbers take a little bit like a while to come back, but then they do. It just takes like maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
totally. Yeah, I know. I think maybe I'm gonna answer your next question, but I think that was kind of an aha moment for me.
Ooh, yes. Great segue. So I was going to ask, what were your big aha moments of running it?
I was gonna say that, yeah, I don't know if we would do it on Instagram again. Um,
Mm,
just because everything, like the format, the sound, the quality, the annoyingness of like having to log in, log out. I just think that there's a lot of things that made it like annoying and difficult as
hmm.
like a long-term live. It's easy for like shorter ones, but I would say probably in the future we would do YouTube maybe. I'm still like
Yeah.
very unfamiliar. I think I'm most familiar with Instagram, so it was easy. But yeah, I think in the future we would maybe use a different platform.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm really curious about Twitch as well, for a future long term, like you're saying, because just to reiterate to the people in this Instagram live, you guys had this going on for 6 hours or so, right?
It was 8 hours.
Eight. I mean, that's crazy. That's a lot. That's a whole day. That's a work day.
Yeah, our bottoms were very asleep by the time we stood up at the end of the day.
You're like, what is movement? I don't know.
Yeah, a few times I just had to get up and like dance around. Oh,
Yeah.
Sophia's laughing.
Oh, and I saw you guys dance at one point too, and I thought it was cute, but now I'm realizing it was really exercise.
Yeah, I was like, I just need to stand up and get some blood flow.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. That's a long time. So you're right where it's like I don't think Instagram's really set up for that.
Totally, definitely not
Yeah.
conducive to that. So that was definitely an aha moment of like, okay, I don't know if this is the best platform.
Yeah, that's really good learning though. And was there any other tech learnings? Because that was something I was thinking of too, especially with sound, because I'm not a sound professional. But I was just wondering, like, how did you try to configure that?
um, I honestly, it was kind of like we had no control,
Hmm.
which another aha moment for me was before people go on, or like the day before, I had written up another thing like, hey, this is what you're going to do. You're going to join the live or quest, blah, blah, blah. But I
Hmm.
think one thing I want to say for next time is make sure your Wi Fi connection is strong, or like just your connection in general is strong. If you have
Hmm.
to turn off your Wi Fi, do that. Um, because it was sad, like some artists where it was the sound and the guitar was just so bad, um, despite like them being in a nice acoustic room, it was just the connection made it sound so terrible.
I know.
Yeah, so that was just like another aha moment of like making the artists aware that like this is in your hands. I'm sorry, like I want to help you, and I did instruct like for sound do this da 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 da.
Hmm.
But but I think it all came down to connection and just like the preparation, of like,
Yeah.
okay, is XYZ good to go for the live, you know?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, really, Wi-Fi in your connection is the biggest thing like that can make or break a digital event,
Yeah.
which
Because
is crazy.
yeah, it's so annoying. Like, even sometimes, like, Jack and I would be like, and like talk through our mouths, like, oh no, like, this connection is so bad.
Oh no, and you can't stop it because it's already going. So it's like, okay.
Totally. And I also wondered, like, is it like, are we the only ones seeing it this way? Are other people seeing it this way? So it's that hard thing to gauge, you know?
I know, I know. It's hard. I actually have a note to call my Wi-Fi company this week because like it's just been, even worse than usual. I hope nothing happens now that I've said that.
Not
But
that way.
yeah, I know, right? So yeah, that's huge. So I think that's a huge point to make.
Yeah, totally. That's
Yeah.
like the necessities when you're maybe like, yeah, putting on a digital event or even just a musician trying to like do live streams consistently.
Yeah, or do interviews like this, or however you're using digital, just
Mm-hmm.
make sure that that connection's strong and it can handle this much like bandwidth, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
yeah, I totally get that. Oh, also, we wanted to mention too the trick that you and I actually put our heads together on for the graphic situation of
Oh,
adding a graphic for Instagram Live.
yeah.
One of the things you were trying to solve was, as the artists are playing, Jack and I will be sitting here in our box staring at them, and we're gonna feel weird.
Yes.
Right? And so you and I were just talking, I think probably about this. And
Yeah.
you were like, "Hey, like I don't like what should we do?" And I had actually just figured out a trick that you can actually upload an image to Instagram Live, and it makes you as the person in the video smaller, so you're like taking up this much real estate, and then the
Mm-hmm.
rest of it is like a graphic. And for your purposes it was great because you could actually like write the name of the artist as they were playing and then also where they wanted your donations to go,
Yeah.
whether that was to them or to the San Diego Bail Fund.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, and that seemed to work pretty well as I was watching.
Yeah, it was perfect. Thank you so much for that advice
Yeah, of
because
course.
that helped a lot. And, we did a few troubleshooting things. Like, I went live on one of my like other accounts that I don't have many followers on, and then I would go in the other room and like Jack would check to see where the image was. Um,
Yeah, it's hard to like
yeah,
see where it's going to pop out.
yeah. So like Jack had done a whole draft of all of them where like the names were in the center, and then we tested it, and then he had to do them all over and like move it to the left. And um, but yeah, that was like such a nice trick because then it's also the focus is not on us or like people looking at our expression when someone's playing. Like, we just want it to
Mhm.
be about them, you know?
Yeah, and for anybody who wants to know what we're talking about, when you go live, you can see at the bottom of the screen as the moderator that there's I think there's four different icons that you can click, and one of them is a box, and it actually hooks into your camera roll. So if you have a sized image that you want to bring up while you're on an Instagram live, you can do that. And it really helps, like if you're talking about something that's really visual, that like attendees should see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Or in Eliza's case, like she just didn't want to be on screen for 8 hours, like looking at musicians, right? And you didn't want to distract from them either, which I think was a huge point. So you can actually do that. And I actually have something set up for when you sing us a song in a little bit. So I'll show you guys what that looks like. I didn't test it, so it might be a little like off, but it is a really cool trick to do when you're on an Instagram live. So we wanted to share that as well. Go team.
Totally. Totally. Because we were like, we didn't know how to do it, and you discovered.
Yep. I saw somebody do it in an Instagram live and I slid into the DMs and I was like, tell me everything. And
Good
that's
for
how I
you.
found out. Yeah, because I was like, this looks dope, They had full out PowerPoint presentation slides and I was just like mind blown by it.
Wow, cool. That's
It was really
preparation.
cool. They were prepped. So
Yeah.
I can only aspire to be that prepped.
Damn. Well, you're pretty good. You're
I
there.
try. I
You're
try. I try, but I'm not scared to slide into the DMs when I want to
Yeah.
know something. So what would you do differently? If like for the next, because you said you hope to do it again, which would be awesome. But like, you just talked about the aha moments, but is there like one thing that you definitely do differently?
Yes, I think I would schedule it a lot differently, and do it more spread out through the day. Like maybe we started at 2 p.m. and then literally just went straight on through to 8 p.m. Um, oh, so yeah, I guess it was 6 hours. Felt like 8 hours.
Felt like 8 hours.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, so I would say like start it in the morning and then do like a couple artists and then like an hour break and then do a couple more artists, hour break. So just kind of spread it out so it's not this like constant notification on people's phones and it's more like, oh, they're live again. Let's join, you know?
That's interesting. Yeah, then it's not so much like it's investment still, but you're not asking so much, I think, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah, and
totally.
and from you guys as well. That's a long time.
Yeah, it was a long day. So that was like, I'd say that was what I would change the most is just like the whole lineup and schedule.
Wow. And do you know how much you guys raised for the bail club or the bail fund fund? Club.
It is kind of like a club.
I
Um,
know.
um, no, we don't. Actually, that would be a cool stat to ask. I just kind of followed up the next day and was like, thank you guys so much for being a part of our first event. Like, we really thank you. And thank you for putting your donation or putting your, tips towards whichever foundation you choose.
Hmm.
Um, but that would have, I think that's what I would do next is like ask, hey, how, just for numbers,
Yeah.
for us, like, what did you make, or what were you able to donate, just so we know for record. I didn't think about that.
Hmm.
So thank you, Allison.
You know, I'm just here. I'm just here for you. But yeah,
You are. Thank you so
oh,
much.
always. But yeah, that would be cool too. And like, as you guys grow and this becomes something, frequent, it could be cool to see how that goes up too. And like
Totally.
there's going to be different things happening at different times. And, if you can be a part of that, I think that would be awesome and supporting, like a major movement like what's happening now with Black Lives Matter, or if something else happens, which 2020, I'm sure, is not done with us yet. But it would be really nice to see how much money you could, and what impact you could make.
Totally. Well, I even thought, just with the Black Lives Matter movement, I thought like, you're seeing all of those posts of like, activism doesn't end. It's not a trend. Like, it's not going to end after this week. I mean, we hope not. So I
Hmm.
was thinking for the next one, like space it out and
Yeah.
then have it be solely about the movement and pick like two organizations that we want to donate to. Um, and then say like all funds that are raised for each artist will be going to XYZ so that, some time has gone on, but then bam, like awareness is there
Hmm.
again, we're being active, and it's a few months later, so like just another like reminder, even though I do think like there will be ongoing activism in the
Hmm.
coming months, year, but just another way that we can like bring that to our community and be a part of it, I think is really important.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And then I like the idea of having like two organizations that you're working with, because then maybe you could like set up ahead of time with them, to like count those numbers for you too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and like be aware of that, and then have that same messaging with each of the.
Uh-oh. There you are
Did I
again.
go away for a second? My phone just like it yelled at me, but I'm here.
No,
Yeah,
no,
but
it
then
was
you
just
could
like
like
when you go.
have that. Oh, sorry. Then you could just have that as like consistent messaging, and then everybody would know, like, hey, we're just going to these two orgs instead of like, is it Venmo? Is it here? You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
it's definitely good to just simplify it and um, have it be like straightforward, and like if you want to join in on donating to these two organizations, then like please do, you know.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that idea. So do you think you would do it sooner than later, or do you feel like you would kind of wait to see how things go and like culturally, or like what are you feeling for that? Because that's a major effort.
Yeah, I would say my gut is telling me like wait a month
Hmm.
maybe, or like a month and a half, um, and because also then like promoting it will also be part of like activism as well, so like
Totally.
using the promotion of the festival to be active in spreading awareness. So maybe like, yeah, maybe even like 2 months or 3 months just to elongate it and like
Hmm.
have it be this like constant little reminder for people.
I love that. I think it'd be great. And like if we're still in quarantine as well, I just think it's so important too to have big community gatherings, like that online.
Yeah, I know. Even though it's like quarantine doesn't feel like a thing anymore, you know, which is fine with me, but it's like, it's just kind of crazy because with all the protests and everything, like last night, I was standing out on a street corner with like 10, it was literally like all high schoolers, which I was so proud of them. I'm like, you guys rock. Like, you're in high school and you are protesting. And like, I walked up to them and was like, hey, can I join you? But we didn't have masks on, you know, and I think like people
Yeah.
just, you know, like you forget it's a small voice now based on
Hmm.
what's happening.
I mean, there's only so many like pandemics we can handle.
Totally.
Yeah, there's so many. So I get that too. And yeah, I think it's just seeing like how things go with that part as well.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, so I think if anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat or in the question mark box. But I would love to hear you sing right now.
Okay. Okay. Let me just drink some water.
Yes, yes. And then I'm going to bring up this graphic to show people what we were talking about. Oh man, did it turn it around? Look at, I didn't even plan that. That's just right there, girl.
Oh my god, yes.
I have it right in back of my desk. I see it every day.
I thought
Um,
that was your graphic. I was like, yes.
oh, see, here we go. I did it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So I did a quick, just for everybody, I did a quick one in Canva, which I recommend for graphics if you're not graphically inclined. Yep.
Great.
Eliza says yes. So I just made this in like 2 seconds before this chat, just so you guys can know where to find Eliza on Instagram, where to listen to Swimming in Circles, and then also if you could please donate to the San Diego Bail Fund, you can find them there on Instagram. So you can just make a graphic. This size is 1080 by 1080, and then you go to your little box on live on the bottom there. You click it, find it in your camera roll, and you're good to go. So now while Eliza's performing, I'm not going to be front and center. I can let her be front and center. So it's very nice. Yes. Yes. So thank you so much, Eliza. What song are you going to play for us?
Um, that's a good question. I was thinking I was practicing a little bit of Circles, which I had posted on my story like a month ago by Post Malone.
Oh, I love that song.
But I don't, oops, my guitar. I don't know the whole song. Um,
You could do just a little bit of it if you're feeling it. I mean,
okay.
anything from you would be wonderful.
Okay. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna
Awesome.
stand up.
Okay.
If let's see where the view is. No.
This is going to be our new Instagram series, bathroom sessions.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm gonna sit back down.
Okay.
Okay, let's see. Can you hear that okay?
Yeah, it sounds really good.
Okay. We couldn't turn it around till we were upside down. I'll be the bad guy now, but I ain't too proud. I couldn't be there, even when I tried. You don't believe it. Do this every time. Seasons change and our love went cold. Be the flame, 'cause I can't let go. Run away, but we're running in circles. Run away, I dare you to do something. I'm waiting on you again, so I don't take the blame. Run away, but we're running in circles. Run away, run away, run away. Hey, 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 hey. Okay, that's all I know.
Yay! Oh, that was so beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I love that song so much.
So
and I
good.
was like, oh, it would be cool to make it just way slower.
Yeah, and more acousticy. Like just it fits it.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't know why, but actually I do know why, because I'm so not used to playing alone that I get so nervous when, like, Jack is like a comfort blanket when he's here, because I'm like, if I mess up, it's okay because we're together and we can just look at each other and laugh, but it's so different playing alone. But thank you so
Yes.
much for allowing me to, because it's good practice.
Oh, it's great. And I've never seen you play alone. So there was a selfish part of me too that was like, this will be really cool. Because I get
Oh,
to watch her just like play by herself. Not that I love Jack, of course, and the rest of the band. But I was just like, this is a cool opportunity.
oh, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. It helps me get out of my comfort zone.
Yes, we love that. Thank you so much for doing that. I really, it just like warms my heart to hear music right now.
Oh, thank you, Allison.
Yeah, and thank you for being here, just talking about the music festival. So I have your social media channels up there as well. But is there anything else you'd like to say before we sign off tonight?
I would just love to say thank you to everyone for tuning in, and thank you, Allison. And if you feel called to, please donate to the San Diego Bail Fund. There's a link in their bio on
Hmm.
Instagram that will lead you right to a donation page.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. And thank you,
Um,
Allison. This was so fun.
oh, I adore you, and I'm just thank you so much for being here, and thank you everybody else as well. I will post this on my Instagram, and I will also send out a link to the steps to get a graphic like this in your Instagram live. And if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to Eliza or myself.
Yes, please do. Thank
Yay!
you, Sarah. Thank you, Sophia. I love you guys.